What do we know about Avraham Avinu? We're told he started asking questions when he was 3 years old. He tried every religion that was available then. He searched. Philosophical investigations. Not only did he discover Hashem, totally on his own. He discovered everything. He figured out all the mitzvahs. What he knew about Hashem is a lot more than what we know about Hashem. Our understanding of Hashem is very limited. He discovered it all. Grew to the point where he attained prophecy. And we know what the Rambam writes about prophecy. In Judaism, if some nobody comes to you and says, he had a visitation, Hashem spoke to him and said something, he's to be executed. He's a Navi Sheker, a false prophet. Prophecy is a level you attain, growing step after step. And it's not just being good, you've got to be very wise. Figured this all out on his own. Where do we find all of this? There isn't a word about it in the Chumash. Nothing. Not one word. What do we read about Avraham Avinu? Take this week's Parsha. He begins with a fanaticism. A fanaticism, a need to entertain others. Here he is, third day after his bris, and he's elderly. Hashem performs a miracle. There's no one out there. It's too hot. No, he can't. He's got to find somebody. So he thinks these three passers-by who worship the dust on their feet. And what he doesn't do to feed them animals. A fanaticism. An absolute fanaticism. Later in the Parsha, he goes to war with the mighty kings. It's an injustice. And there's an appreciation, which is funny. An appreciation that Lot, that his nephew, didn't turn him in. Didn't turn him in and say that he lied when he said that Sarah was his sister. An appreciation for that he didn't have him killed. He's ready to go fight the mighty kings, but it was an injustice. Pleading with Hashem to save Sodom. Very respectfully accusing Hashem of possible injustice. Where's the philosophy? It's an outright fanaticism in loving human beings, in caring for them, and doing whatever he can for them. Where's the philosophy? The pasuk says, Ki yadativ, I love Avram. Why is that? Because he's going to teach his family, the generations to come, the way of Hashem, righteousness. You know, Abraham was the first Jew, the founder of our religion, if you call it that. Although there are questions of what his status was. Was there such a thing as a Jew in his day? But at least he was the Ivri. It all began with him. And pretty much all we have is because of him. This fanaticism for chesed, this total selflessness, that's what it's all about. Where's the philosophy? We can go a little further. We know in the Parsha, Yeshiva Aish, he opened, whether it's an inn or an orchard, his form of kiruv. He invited people in for a meal. When they thanked him, he'd say, I didn't do it. Who created this food? I processed it. But who created it? It was all Hashem. That's how he did kiruv. We don't read of any great philosophical discussions that he had with people. Why is it so? In our Shimon Esrei, when we say Elokei Avraham, the Hashem who was revealed to the world through Avraham Avinu's chesed. That's what we mean. That simple translation of Elokei Avraham in your Shimon Esrei. That's the first step in Emunah. And we do understand that an essential element in what we believe in is that Hashem created because of Ritzono Yizbarach Lahetiv, Hashem gives. Whatever the word Ritzono, his will, what does it mean for Hashem to will? We don't know. But one thing's for sure. It's certainly far more powerful than anything we've ever seen within the human race. The whole existence of anything but Hashem himself is only because he gives, because he's good. This is what it's all about. All about chesed. Now, one second. If you look at all the good books, the number one value in Judaism is actually not chesed. The number one value in Judaism is wisdom. Chesed, that's what we're made of. The Jew, we're Rachmanim, Baishonim, Gomlei, Chasodim. The nature of a Jew is to care, to be sensitive. But our number one value is wisdom. So where does the chesed fit in? And by the way, Jews have always been fanatics about chesed and about wisdom. You know, the number one thing in any Jewish community, the social concerns, the Rambam writes, and it's true to this day, there's never been a Jewish community without a kupas tzedakah. You don't have to be Orthodox. What do you mean? The Federation, that's the place, right? Everyone knows part of being Jewish is you got to give. Jews are always at the forefront of fighting social issues. We are also fanatics when it comes to wisdom. We are obsessed with the need for education on every level. And there too, you don't have to be observant for that. It's so much part of being a Jew. What's this combination? What is this combination? It's very simple. What's wisdom? Wisdom is to be able to do all sorts of intellectual acrobatics, figure out the puzzles, figure out the impossible, come up with ideas. What is wisdom? Wisdom is an understanding of reality. Wisdom is finding truth. How do you find truth? Every individual, every one of us, we're so into ourselves. We have our own way of looking at everything. Not to mention, we have our desires, and it's so difficult to consider something that's going to demand of us what we would rather not do, or the contrary, that we not do what we desire. Our ability to see truth is so jaded by our subjective tastes and subjective desires. How is it possible for a human being to attempt to find truth? The prerequisite, and it's something that has to be ongoing, is to go beyond yourself. The opposite of being a Baal Chesed is to be self-centered. To whatever degree yourself is more important than anything else, to that degree your ability to see truth is limited. Chesed to a Jew is not because it feels good, although it does. It feels great. Such a basic human experience. The reason why Sodom was destroyed was because making chesed a felony, punishable by death, so negates the human experience. They were so rotten. They went against something that every human being can appreciate. We don't even find that Avraham Avinu attempted to be makar of them. They're out of it. For any human being that believes, as they say, that chesed perpetuates human weakness, I mean, there's nobody home, there's nothing to talk about. But chesed is not just because it's warm and good and cozy and makes you feel so good. Chesed means appreciating that one person, as great as he may be, is only one person. With his personality, his limitations, and his tastes. And unless he can get outside himself, unless he is prepared to give his life for others, he will never be able to see the whole truth. He will never find it. We don't know if Avraham Avinu was the wisest man that existed in those generations. The way he reached the heights he did was because he was absolutely selfless. A fanaticism. But just try to comprehend this. arguing with Hashem to save Sodom, these people who executed a Baal Chesed, where Chesed was an outright crime. There was a whole culture of torturing strangers. And he was pleading with Hashem to save them. He knew you can't ask to save them in their merit. They deserve nothing, but maybe there are 10 tzaddikim there. His Mesiras Nefesh for people who stood for everything he was against, who were against everything he stood for. What do you do in a base medrash? You learn. You learn. It's nice. It's nice to activate the brain. Even nicer to activate the brain and study divine wisdom. Wonderful thing. But it's not just an exercise in using your brain. We're supposed to be truth seekers. We are looking for absolute emes. We are looking for truth. What, you're going to live your whole life for something that's false? You've got to constantly look for truth. And there's only one way to find it. You got to shake this selfishness, this self-centeredness. We got to get it out of our system. We got to love, we got to care, we got to be there for everybody. Even in your own growth. If all you care about is yourself and not the people around you, you may end up memorizing lots of volumes. You'll be able to rattle off Mishnayos and more. And you may be famous. And get further down in the mud of selfishness. You want your Torah to be real. You want your life to be a real pursuit of truth. We've got to get out of this selfishness. Yes, the cornerstone of Yiddishkeit, the cornerstone of what it means to be Jewish, is Avraham Avinu's fanaticism for Chesed. His philosophical investigations were the obvious outcome of it. One doesn't have to bother mentioning them. You want to follow in his footsteps? We don't even know what his logic was. We have a few examples, they sound so simple. All the profundity, they never told us. He had a Masechta Avodah Zarah, 400 prakim. What went on there? What do we know? Why didn't they tell us? They told us the secret. The secret is selflessness. The human brain is capable of so much. The human eye and heart limit that. Lo sasuru achrei levavchem v'achrei einechem. Do not stray after your heart and your eyes. Human desire selfishness, the me, that can destroy, that can limit, that can jade, that can corrupt. The wise Jew can be so crooked, so silly. Yeah, statistically they say we're the wisest. We've also made some of the most serious mistakes. You got to get rid of that selfishness. You got to care, you got to love. And there's got to be a Mesiras Nefesh for others. And you can begin here, but it can't end here. Avraham Avinu's chesed included Vayikra b'Shem Hashem. You got to care about every Jew. You feel fortunate for what you know. What's with everybody else? And if it doesn't matter, you're not going to find truth. Your vision's going to be blurred. Yes, it's all about wisdom. But there's no wisdom without selflessness. There's no wisdom without caring, without loving, without mesiras nefesh for everybody else. You think about your future, you want to think about being comfortable, about being successful. If that's what you're focused on, the odds are you're going to waste your life away. And you won't even know it. You won't even know it because we have ways of justifying everything. You become selfless. The piercing truth shines through. Let's love and find emes. That's what it means to be Jewish.